talking about, but now there's 3.
Okay, we're live.
All right. Call this meeting to order. Today is July 28th, 2026. We can get approval of the previous meeting.
I'll motion to approve the meetings, or the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I wasn't
Nope.
ready yet.
Okay. We really need to do nomination of officers. And then go from there. Because since we haven't met since last year.
So can we just somehow keep them the same? Because since we're getting so close to the end of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Do we have to wait for him to nominate?
No.
I nominate Mike Ryle as the chair.
I second.
I second, third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then
You
I
really wanted to get out of that, didn't you?
kind of. So I nominate Mike Combs as vice chair.
December's coming up, dude.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now. No, I'll let you catch up. You're fine. Okay. If you would, you can stand at the podium or you can sit there since there's nobody here. State your name and your business.
I'll stand anyway.
Okay?
Joe Santu.
Oh. Okay. Need to open up the public hearing. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Joe Santu, Faithful Companion Information Services.
Sorry. Emerson's closed right here. I didn't either.
No.
What a surprise.
They are.
Google Maps doesn't show that it's closed either.
Well, I wasn't paying any attention to him because I, kind of know how to get here. So
They're talking about putting a no left turn there.
Is that right?
That's what they're talking about.
Well,
We should.
Whether or not they do it, I have no idea.
Okay.
all right. Thanks. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, Joe Santu, Faithful Companion Information Services, seeking a variance for the property on Hawthorne Boone Drive. We're a family company, been around for 20 years in 12 different states. The building over there is a good fit for us. Everything makes sense. Just looking for that variance for operation.
Any
Questions now?
Go ahead. You have a question?
Some of the pictures didn't really show, but how far away, because when I went over there, like I said, I thought there was only 2 buildings over there, but there's basically 2, and then there's that one offset,
Right.
which was actually the first one. So it's gonna be behind the most south building, east. Correct?
That sounds
Which is
correct.
block 2. It's basically where the big, all the big mound of dirt is.
Well,
So,
and it's in one of the existing buildings that's over there.
so you're talking about an existing building.
Correct.
Yeah. You come here and I'll show you.
Okay, so that's probably the first one then. Okay.
So I'm
That makes
assuming
more sense.
it's, as you're looking straight at it, is it the one on the right or the left?
I'm not specifically sure.
Okay, so it's just one of the new buildings that has been built.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
'cause
one of these.
It would have to be this one because this is block 2, right? I thought he was going to build here, but he's just taking over this one because there's another company in this one,
Okay,
and then there's another business right beside that,
which is the Aussies,
which is north.
right?
Okay, so we're talking about this one.
Right. And more often than not, every township's different. It's always different. us to require some sort of variance like this to, we're, light industrial, right? There's not a lot of traffic at the space or anything like that. And it's not a, there's no odor, there's no smells, there's nothing like that, so it's not a disturbing type of operation. Most of our locations, people, pass by and never even know we're there.
Yeah, I read through that. That was one of my concerns, but it got answered that there's just heat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
all.
it's a very clean process.
Okay, so farthest south building, right off the street, it's already there. You're not building anything.
Correct.
Okay. As far as outside storage, things like that, anything, everything.
Won't be anything outside storage, just, obviously team member vehicles parked out, in a lot and things like that, but nothing can be stored outside.
Okay. And I think Mike or somebody was asking, so are you renting that or are you purchasing it?
Well,
Leasing it?
I don't know what it is.
Okay. In going through it it was just basically an error. It was on the use variance petition narrative. It's proposed address 1015, but then it down close to the last paragraph, it says 1060.
That was gonna be my question.
Huh?
Where you go? Where you headed? Because that's gonna be my question.
Which is probably just a,
At the very top, it just says 1015 Hawthorne Bloom Drive.
Yeah,
It's
it's
proposed
1015.
1015. Okay, okay.
so down the paragraph before the last one, it says 1016, so that's just an error, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Figured. Any potential in growing? Not that that really matters at this point, but
We hope to grow.
sure.
But the space is large enough that, it will, we don't like to move the operations, right? We like to open and stay where we're at.
Right.
And so, the space is large enough to accommodate, expected growth.
Okay.
And like I said, even when we do grow, as far as the site's concerned, it's not a disturbance in any way because we have vehicles that are on the road, right? A lot of our pets are brought in from other communities, so it's not like all of a sudden there's this great traffic, where a bunch of people are coming into the space or anything like that.
Right.
It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. That's all I had, guys.
Lee, is there anything you like to add?
No, I mean, you have, I'm trying to remember whether you've actually considered a use variance before. Always it's a development standard variance where someone's trying to change a setback, change maybe a square footage requirement or something like that. This really is about a proposed use that isn't included in our zoning ordinance. The reason that they have to make this request for a variance is what our ordinance tells us is if a use is not listed as a permitted use, then it is not a permitted use, right? If you find, based on the findings of fact that they've submitted, and I see Mike, you got them in front of you, that this use, though not specifically permitted under the zoning ordinance, is one that satisfies these these findings of fact, then you can grant sort of this special permission for this use to be permitted in New Whiteland, even though it's not listed in the ordinance. And this gentleman makes a good point. When we were updating the ordinance the last time and trying to increase the number of uses and think about everything we could, why Cindy forgot to think about this. I mean, it just never came to mind.
Sure.
You
I mean,
it's an unusual use.
You can't think of every
You can't.
service that.
And so
Yeah.
state statute wires into this process a variance procedure because we can't think of everything. And because situations like this come up, we have a committee here who has the discretion to grant to someone special permission to do something that the ordinance does not expressly permit for that very reason. we can't see everything and know everything and include everything. So that's the function one of the functions that you as the BZA serves.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I was reading, and he's leasing it now, but if he moves, then the zoning goes right back to where it was to begin with, right? Or is this something going to be put in?
I think if you grant a use variance, that stays with the property.
So it's just, instead of having to redo a whole new one, it's just we've added that one to.
You have granted permission for this use on this property, and it's unique, it is related to the property, not the person.
Okay.
You could make a condition that it would be an exception or a permission only for this petitioner, right? That happens sometimes, although that always confuses me a bit, because it's either a use that you think ought to be allowed or not. I don't know why it would matter who's going to be the one making the use, but you could. It doesn't seem to me that there's any compelling reason to do that. Yeah, I think that gets done sometimes. Sometimes a use variance is conditional on compliance with certain listed conditions that you have and a review, like in a year or something like that. But here again, I don't know that this proposed use has even the risk of having an adverse effect on adjoining properties.
Right.
If you're going to have something that by a bar, an amusement facility with late hours and bright lights and noise and things like that, and they promise you that we're not going to be a problem, we're going to be good neighbors, and you say, okay, well, you got to prove it. So we'll grant a variance of use conditional on a 1-year review, and if in that year you have not satisfied all the conditions, then we are going to revoke it. You have all that kind of discretion.
Okay.
We're actually talking more in an academic sense than what's really applicable here. But the short answer is, unless you make it unique to this petitioner, it will stay with the property.
Well, the reason why I was asking is, like, I read through what he had put in as far as the some of his paperwork, and although it looks good on his side, if he decides to move out and another crematorium person moves in and they're not as tightly wired as this company, from what I've read, then next thing you know, you got smoke, and then everybody in Country Gates.
Yeah, but at that point, you've got nuisance violations too.
Okay. That's the only reason why I was asking.
I mean, I think the town has other ordinances it can enforce to address those kind of problems if they were to occur.
Okay, perfect.
We still don't have a building inspector or nothing like that, do we? Okay. Okay. And then,
But it's certainly serving more in the role of doing new construction, permits and inspections. That's primarily what his role is.
can you read that? Because I cannot.
You read it.
The facts of finding.
Oh, here you go.
I can't, it's, I can't see up
It
close.
was
or-
tough. It was
You want
tough
me to
when
read
I
it for
was
the
going
record?
through it.
Yeah, if you would.
Okay. Findings of fact, the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the town because Faithful Companion strictly adheres to all applicable regulations and operates at the highest standards possible for a pet crematory. The variance will not adversely affect the use or value of adjacent properties because our pet crematory does not create any odor, noise, or traffic concerns for neighboring properties. 3, the need for a variance arises from some condition peculiar, to the property which is zoned as manufacturing, while crematories would be would fall under general business. Sorry. The strict application of the terms of zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property because a pet crematory would not be able to operate, denying the property owner a stable long-term tenant. The approval will not interfere substantially with the new Whiteland Comprehensive Plan because as a planned unit development or PUD, it is allowed for the zoning commission to review proposed uses such as this one.
Okay. What was you saying, Cindy? Go ahead.
Well, typically before now, but I don't know that it matters, really. We don't
Okay.
have the members, I mean, we would know for the record, we're not the members of the public here.
Right, so we can close the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other questions or concerns amongst us? And I know there ain't nobody out there, so,
I just like it when people come to New Whiteland and don't want to open a business.
yeah, that's great.
Honestly, I really do.
Yeah. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve his variance.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All, we're good. And then,
We will sign.
oh, there is no, I mean, we approved the minutes of the previous meeting. There's no new business that we need to discuss at this time, so I'd like to call this meeting to adjourn.
Okay.
And
You know what to do here?
it's been a while.
Oh, yep. Say Mike.
So you guys gonna be advertising a lot? I mean, I think it's awesome what you're doing. I've had a couple dogs down and
Sounds good.